Welcome to All Sunwire today. We're talking about Haim Hilman's explosive statements regarding Penang's historical status and his critique of national governance. So, November 14th, 2025. This was the day a huge political firestorm got kicked off by Haim Hilman, a key executive councillor from the Kedah State government. His statement was just so blunt and incredibly provocative. He claimed, and I'm quoting here, that Penang historically belongs to Kedah and that its return is only a matter of time.
Yes, and this isn't just, someone digging up old history for the sake of it, to say that in the Kedah State Assembly, while formally discussing Penang's sovereignty, that forces the whole country to set up and listen. It's an explicit challenge, really, to the very foundation of the Federation.
So we need to unpack what they even mean by historical rights in this context.
Exactly. And also what they mean by state interests, because he's framing this in a very particular way.
The thing that got me was the absolute nature of it. He didn't say we should negotiate. He said its return was inevitable. I mean, how seriously can we even take a claim like that? It challenges decades of constitutional stability.
Well, that's the perfect question, isn't it? Because you have to see it for what it is. Right now, it's less of a legal declaration.
And more like
a piece of political theater. But it is theater with a very, very real purpose.
Okay, so what's the purpose?
He's trying to shift the narrative, to move it away from just being some dry historical grievance about colonial-era agreements.
Right, the old land payments and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And turn it into a contemporary promise about economics and better governance.
Okay. That makes sense. Because that was central to his message. He kept emphasizing that this move is about development. He argued that Penang would see better development prospects if Kedah was managing it directly.
That's it. That's the pivot. He's moving the goalposts from historical rent to modern management. He's essentially trying to sell the idea to the Malaysian public that the current administration in Penang is, well, suboptimal.
And that a transfer of sovereignty would unlock all this new potential.
Exactly. So suddenly the national conversation isn't just about who owns the land historically. It's about who can be a better steward of economic prosperity right now.
But if you're, say, an investor in the Northern Corridor, or just a regular person living there, why should you care about a centuries-old dispute? How does this affect things today?
Oh, it matters immensely. It's tied directly to resource allocation, to regional planning, and, investor confidence.
Oh, so?
Well, think about it. If a neighboring state government is constantly questioning the very boundary, does that create uncertainty for big infrastructure projects?
I see. So federal spending on a port, for example?
Or a major industrial park. Decisions like that might be seen through a different lens if one state is saying the land it's on is just, on loan.
So even if Putrajaya dismisses it, the rhetoric itself causes a ripple effect.
It forces a national dialogue. It brings up the original terms of the Federation, fiscal autonomy, territorial security for all states. This isn't just history class. This is about where the next billion ringgit gets invested.
It's a powerful challenge. Give us control. We can do better. But he didn't stop there.
No, he does not.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because he didn't just stop at Penang. He turned his attention to something that seems totally unrelated.
Education. A really sharp, pointed critique of the Ministry of Education.
And at first you think, what's the connection? A huge land claim versus federal procedure.
But they're both aimed at the same target, the inefficiency of centralized government control. His main complaint against the Ministry of Education was that it's just excessively bureaucratic.
He used a very strong phrase. He said it creates an atmosphere of fear.
An atmosphere of fear. And what that suggests is that local school officials, headmasters, teachers, they're too afraid of breaking some rule from on high to make simple, common-sense decisions.
It paralyzes them.
That's the argument, that this bureaucracy just stops people from handling crucial, time-sensitive issues on the ground. And to make his point, he didn't just speak in abstractions. He gave a very specific, almost unbelievable real-world anecdote.
Right, the story about the tree.
Yes, the fallen tree. So there's a national primary school, a Sekolah Kebangsaan, and a huge tree falls down on the school grounds. A serious safety issue.
Okay, a clear and present danger. So what happens?
Well, this is the kicker. Haim Hilman, as a state-level leader and executive councillor, is told he's restricted from even entering the school grounds.
What? Why?
Because of the Ministry of Education's strict, centralized protocols on communication and procedure. By the book, he was only allowed to speak to the headmaster outside the school gate.
Wait, hold on. A senior leader of the state government is physically barred from entering a school during a safety crisis because of red tape.
He's standing outside the gate, unable to survey the damage, unable to help coordinate.
Think about that for a moment. What does that tell you about decentralized power in Malaysia? It's absurd.
It perfectly illustrates what he means by administrative paralysis. You have the state government with resources and local knowledge ready to act, but they are rendered totally powerless by federal protocol. It paints this stark picture of central control overriding common sense.
And that's where the two issues, Penang sovereignty and the education bureaucracy, they just snap together.
They do. They connect perfectly. The common thread isn't really land or curriculum, it's political strategy. He's showcasing how, in his view, local power, the key to state government, is responsive and efficient.
Well, federal power is just obstructive, cripplingly so.
Yes. He uses the Penang claim to argue for efficiency on a massive scale, and he uses the fallen tree anecdote to show administrative failure on a micro, everyday scale.
So the underlying message is pretty simple then. Both issues are about who can deliver better governance. He's painting a picture where the federal government is just failing, whether it's a huge issue of state development or a minor one of school maintenance.
He's asking the public to compare the promise of central management with the demonstrated reality of these restrictions. And he drove it home with this really powerful rhetorical question to the assembly.
About the education system.
Yes. He basically asked, if even state-level leaders are treated so restrictively, what quality of education can our next generation expect in such an environment?
Wow, that question cuts deep because it links that bureaucratic paralysis directly to the future of our kids. That's a very, very effective political move.
It is. It merges a historical critique with a current administrative failure.
Oh.
And the solution he's offering for both is the same. More state autonomy, less stifling federal control.
So it really forces us to look at the balance of power in our system. I mean, you need procedures, obviously.
Of course. But the question is, when do those procedures stop being about good governance and start actively preventing elected officials on the ground from handling a simple crisis?
Like a fallen tree.
Exactly. His two statements, taken together, are an explicit demand for a reset of the federal-state relationship. He's arguing that this concentration of power in federal ministries is ultimately harming local communities.
So the national discourse is now centered on these two massive questions he's raised. Is our map secure? And is our administrative system even functional?
And both of his answers point back to the same solution. More effective local governance under the key to state government.
Yeah.
It leaves us with a really provocative thought. If the central government is so rigid it prevents basic collaboration during a local safety incident, then when do bureaucratic restrictions cross that line from being a necessary procedure to actively hindering essential, swift action? That's the core question he's put on the table for everyone.
A huge question indeed. Thank you for joining us for this crucial conversation on state sovereignty and administrative control. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.